found Peter Robinson. I went to 2 meetings in 2 areas, and she followed me. She did part of my rationalization. So I just waited, and sure enough, I came home one day and he said, well, I think you do the off. I love him right anyway. I said, I love him not. He said, well, you brought him up. And I said, I don't love it, so I can't tell Paul. But it worked, you see. And that was the beginning of my realizing one of my music characters was the fact that I always had to explain to people what I meant. Without home by then. I used to, in my explanation, I used to carry days, sometimes to my mind. I meant, because it just worked out that way. And I had made a lot of misery and unhappiness in my life by not having to explain anything to anybody. When you have to explain your own existence, or why you should be happy, That was another thing they did to me when I was new Al-Anon. The first Al-Anon speaker I ever heard was about, he started to talk about saying, I'm a fan, I love alcohol. And I wanted to knock her down, actually, because I figured that the one was bad enough to brag about it. But no more than I could take. And so at the next meeting, they always asked the newcomer or whoever, and I was a brand new newcomer for a long time, but they always asked how do you enjoy the meeting. And I was very honest. If they'd done that for me, I told them very, very sincerely that I really did believe someone should drive to talk. And because of that one honest little second on my heart, those emails gave me an assignment. I was supposed to go home, take Eddie's hand, and say, Eddie, I love you. That's all. I said, you're kidding. That's what you have to do. And I was so scared you didn't have to do anything, took me 3 months before I actually did it, and I didn't do that as I wanted to do. I did, but the time I went to that meeting, one of those females was dancing check. And I didn't know how to talk that yes or no answer. See? And I'm more like him because I had actually CDs from that meeting that disappeared, never saw again. And I didn't know how to. And I didn't want to take any unnecessary chances, so one night after the light was off, I reached over and I took his hand, and I said, Eddie, I love you. And he said, let's get to bed. What the hell am I with you now? And I don't know what life's most romantic, but I learned something that night that I couldn't have found out any other way. No matter how many times he tells me, no matter how many ways he tries to prove to me how he feels about me, if I'm not in the mood to listen, he's wasting his time. Because I got something back here. And that little button goes off occasionally and says, you let that get away with that after what he did to you and Mickey Wardry. Because I hold a grudge for a long time, So there is no way, when I tried to crawl into his head and figure out what's going on, that he could prove to me how he feels about me. But at the very same time, I found out for the first time how I felt about him. I found out that with my father, with my husband, and even today with my son, it's not that I don't love them. It's that I don't like what they're doing. And I have a right to dislike what they're doing. What I don't have a right to do is insist that they do it my way so that I have a comfortable feeling, supposedly, because they are minding me. I have control of them. I've had to learn to take them as God and let them be. But the fact that they get so weird and been taught me, and he still drives me up along on a regular basis. But tonight I'm minded and so bad, And people say, I don't wake him down on I would say no, not in one ever straight out. Mine goes up and out and over. The only change is that inside the known, I get right in the car instead of getting the cat. And that's pretty much the way it was. I don't drop what I used to. Because I can do like me. And I can let him do and say whatever it is to do and say, and I don't have to worry about it at all. I don't talk about it. I never answer a statement. If he said, that moon's sure shining up in the night. I admit I know it's dark, but if he'll say dark, it's my problem. See, maybe I've been crazy. Because this is what his little method for getting me into conversation. See, and usually I end up talking myself. I'll go up every time where he's going to go. Because I didn't find out till maybe 4 or 5 years ago that he touched himself. And when I said to him, what did you say? That gets me in trouble. Because then he tells me what he's thinking about. He was mumbling to himself one morning when I went to take like a coffee, and I said to him, oh, did you say something to me? And he said, oh, no, I was just saying the law and short needs to be cut. And his was still out then. And so that's all he said. And he went off to the office, and when Butch got up, I said, you was mission that the lawn of the cut. And I was all sitting. And the book read and Bill, and he said, Dad said for you to cut the lawn. And I wanted to know before he got on that night, God, exactly 10. It looked like it didn't pop, because everybody ended to everybody else and ended up to do it, so I did it myself, And when they gave money, what the hell happened to the lawn? And I said, I don't know. So he cut it, I guess, And he's never talked about lawn because, because have easy and everything else, But once I discovered that talk to yourself made my life easier. We made a trip from California to Hot Springs, Arkansas. And I think he said, didn't miss one another. He walked all the way, but not too shot. He just fumbled. And we just went along, and it was marvelous. I don't know that it worked at the time, but we ended up Kansas City, and we were playing golf with a girlfriend of mine, and she and I were riding in part, and Eddie was walking. And she said to me, Linda, Eddie said something to you. And I said, no, did. She said, I heard it. And I said, no, you heard him talking. You did not hear him talking to me. And that was all he said when I got home. So we left there from Steve and said, what do you mean he was talking? But he wasn't talking to you. And so I called on the phone and told her, not she told Alma too, She married one of those. Anyhow, all these things are things that turned out in more than this step. Being able to become acquainted with myself. That's quite a chore. Because I did not turn out to be at all like I thought I was. I did turn out to be brilliant. I'm not dumb, but I'm not brilliant, and I always thought I was. I know a little bit about a lot of things, but didn't know anything about the most important things there are in this world today, and that's me. Because I really believe I am the most important person in my life. As long as I continue feeling that way, I'm able to do things for other people because I do it because I want to, not because I have to. And that was important for me to learn. It made a lot of difference as far as my relationship with my family. As I told you yesterday, or maybe it was this morning, I had to do both traditions and the steps in order to recover. And I'm still using it. But I also give the first tradition the credit for allowing me to become a member of my own family. Because the first tradition says that recovery is the greatest number depends upon unity. And I always had unity and unison confused. I thought that if I said, when dinner's over, we're going to do so-and-so, and nobody objected, that meant they agreed. That's not what it meant. It meant they knew that if they did agree, we were never going to get through with dinner. That's what it meant. See? And then it would go over and it would just feel like they never been there. And when I got to me, I said to Will one day, I said, why did you do this to me? After all I've done for them, why did they treat me this way? And she sent me a question. Have you ever asked them, or have you always told them? She said, go and look up the word unity. And the definition of the word unity is the ability to disagree agreeably. I knew that before. I thought that if you agreed with me, that meant that we had unity. That's not what it means. And so I had to take label, mother, off, and allow myself to become a member of my own family. And it worked out great. I heard a kid in Alton one time say, "It's off to be a friend. You must have done something right." And that I took it as a little sort of giving to help me get along with my kids. Because mine are not her kids. You know, I have one daughter. I very rarely mention this because it is not really my story. It's her story. But she had a problem with pills, and I did the same thing that I'd done with Eddie. Only I rationalized it was different. See, I had been out on and so forth and so on. I used to say, well, to leave a husband one day, he's only well about an hour here now. But child, how? And I desert this child. I was trying to help her. I was trying to help me. She was embarrassing to me. She was a repeat of what my father had done to me, and what my husband had done to me, and then what my daughter was to me. And I bent over backward trying to help her so that she would stop doing what she was doing, so that people now on AA and our circle friends and everything else wouldn't know that I had been a terrible mother, that she was driven to this. Now, that makes sense too. That's the way I used to rationalize things, you know. And I can remember one time when I went down to Bay, she never had to worry about anything. I did with her, divided with the daughter. She didn't call me by a certain time on Saturday night. I called the sheriff's office. And that's when it would be necessary for me to have my attorney call and find out where my job was. Stay constant, not even if I had my head was drinking, you know. And one time I went down to Bay, we stood right in the middle of the sheriff's office, and put her arms like this, and she said, "I refuse to go unless you bail out my plans." You know I did? Because she was embarrassed. I had not been sharing that. That means that I hadn't attended. I heard it. But I never came right out and said, how was bothering me and what was going on. Well, I shared with the rest of I did, and I still went back to playing a game in the program as well as my mother's home. And finally I got a meeting on the Blue Beach, and I was out to hear with her and her and for some reason, meeting a gal who is gone now to reach me. She came up to me and she said, "Hey, I want to ask you one question." And I said, "Okay." She said, "Do you love your daughter? Or are you determined to kill her with violence?" And it's the first time that I began to recognize what I was doing, not for her, but to her. Because, see, I was killing her by allowing her to use my defect of character, which was pride, to destroy her. When she ended up in jail, I tell you I almost went nuts. Because I would go to the jail and I'd tell up that darn thing, you know, even worse than that went to jail. I'd tell out that sick, you know, and I was sitting in this country and I didn't have police recognize me carrying a gun and all this stuff. They should have done about us looking at me. But they made me pull it out, and I would go inside, and all the time I was thinking to myself, what am I doing here? Why would she do this to me? Put me through this torment. And she'd come down from upstairs and we'd talk between this laugh on the telephone, and she'd cry on her side and I'd cry on my side. But all that in question. Why? What am I doing here? And finally I was sitting there waiting for her, and I got to the place where I was almost to go down there, you know, I got away with some of the deputies. I did a lot of my Christmas shopping there that year. Because they made beautiful things there, right? You know, things. Some of the best homes in West Covina, they even still brand. And, but they were not. And I was sitting there, they had a bitch, and the bitch, and there was a bench behind me, and I heard this female behind me, and she was just blubbering like nobody's business. I mean, I didn't quiet about it. She was kind of nosy. And curiosity talked to one of my assets, and just for the heck of it, I turned around to look, and behind me sat an Al-Anon gal from me in the city of California. And she took one look at me, and she said to me, "Benedict, what are you doing here?" As though it was just absolutely out of the question that I would be so stupid and to bread. But that was the day that I knew why I was there. That was the day that I knew that regardless of what it is that happens in my life today, I'm very sure with you, I'm cheating myself. Because I don't have a chance of getting over some of these things that can drive me up a wall unless I have the freedom to let you know how I feel. And to let you know there are these things that do happen. No matter how hard you try, practice principles of discovery. That's what principles are for. It's not to keep you from getting into the hole, it's to help you get out of the hole. And that's something that I had to come to terms with. It's kind of a funny side to Ashley Sally. There's only she's sent in every year. And I always felt responsible because, see, I wouldn't go to court with her. I'd always gone to court with her before. And she went forward by herself, and I wouldn't even send lawyers, so she had to leave her own case, and she didn't go for years, so I felt it was my fault. And, but then she left 3 months. And she decided she wanted to get a job. And she never known how to do anything. She learned all jail. And so she told me she was going to go over and take this job. And I said, "Sally, you're not going to get that job. You don't know how to do it." And she said, "Say, Mother, I learned so I've been in jail." And this was the kind of job where you do piecework. You know what that is? I didn't think it was the kind of job she should have. Oh, fine. It made her bad, then I let her go. But despite me, she went over. And when she and her girlfriend came back, and I said, "Did you get the job?" And she said, "We're going to call up an interview." And I said, "Oh, did you fill out the application?" "Okay." She said, "I guess so." I said, "Well, what do you look down for experience?" And she said, "Civil brand." I said, "Oh, you mean to tell me that you told them your experience came from jail?" And she said, "Well, that's where I learned to sew." I said, "Well, forget it. You'll never get that job." And 2 days later, they called and asked for an interview. Now I went over. And she came back, she said, "I got a job." And I said, "You got the job?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "You lied to them." And she said, "No, I don't." She said, "When he read over my application, he came through my experience and said civil brand." And he said, "Civil brand, I don't think I recognize that at the house." And Sally said, "Well, it's the LA County." And he said, "Oh, well, if you work for the county, you can do the job." He didn't know that civil brand was the one jail. And he thought it was another kind of professional. And she got a job because she was honest. If she had followed my advice, she would put out Orchard Door or some of the Rotary places. Because losing the grandeur was another one of the defective character that I had to ask God to remove. I had to become who I am and data. And I haven't had time, you know, just being me. It's I people all the time that they kind of smart. I let they do. I mean, I'm not responsible for what they think, but they ask me to tell them the truth. I'm not that smart. But it's just using the principles of this program. I mentioned earlier to somebody, and I don't remember who it was. It's very difficult for me to departmentalize this way of life. To me, it's one ball of wax. And it's difficult for me to take out, except by remembering certain instances that happened over a period of time. What it's all about, you know, to go back and remember. Because right now, usually, unless the big thing comes up, I almost do it automatically. I practice to do one day at a time, over and over again. And the only thing I have to be sure of is that I keep it in segments I can handle. Somebody asked me earlier today if there was a formula for Al-Anon that would help, you know, something that was very easy to remember, to keep on the right track. And I asked her if they had ever read the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and they said no. And I said, well, that's where you're going to find the answer. And she said, "Is the big book okay?" And I said, "Yes." But at the end of chapter 5, it said, "We've made clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholics and would not handle our own lives. B, that probably knows human power could relieve alcoholism, and C, that God could and would if he was sought. And the only decisions you have to make after you get thoroughly acquainted with the ABC at the edge, have to fight this. Are you God? And if you're not, then you take your hands off. Because the power that runs my life today is the power greater than myself that I choose to call God. And that's pretty well sums up the fourth, fifth, and sixth. 7, 2 are all about as far as I'm concerned. It makes life easier, I guess, to look back than it does look forward. My hindsight's always been a little bit better than my foresight. But we'll get to the part of the steps that I really had a lot of fun with. Well, it did turn out to be fun. But when I knew that I'd make a list of all persons I had harmed, there weren't very many. And I came out eventually quite a long list. And then I had to make amends to them all. I was a very sarcastic person when I got down on my first letter, amends letter, I made several copies of it. I was just going to write names in there. I'd use them, and it was so sarcastic that my spine burned, because before you got to the end of the letter, it was your fault, and I didn't realize. But we'll get to that later on. Now, I think I got this down much I can't read, so it should be about 2 o'clock, right? You're free.
This is the end of session 3. Start of session 4.
All right. Any more announcements? I love announcements. Long as this is door about to become crab mother of. In Southern California, they usually have a meat tenderizer. And I've always thought it was so apropos, they get a thing. So like apples, they love that meat tenderizer. And I presume you're all having a good time. I am. I'll tell you that darn sure. I went over to my room after lunch today, or after the session today, to kind of commiserate with 7th, or with the 8th and 9th step, because I still have trouble with that sometimes today, Primarily because I think it's the way it's written. Made a list of all persons I had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. And as I have told time and time again, I'm one of those people who quarrel with words. Harm to me meant hurt. And I could honestly look back and see that I had hurt anybody. But my sponsor was very help to me when she started pointing out that there were different ways to hurt people. I was thinking of physical hurt, because that was an easy out for me. You see, I never physically hurt anybody, so I could legitimately skip that step if it became necessary. But I didn't stop to think of people that I had harmed, like my kids. Mine were not so much sins of commission as mine were sins of omission, or hurts of omission. When I would not do something that I could do to help somebody because of whatever fantasy or whatever reason that in my mind I didn't want to. It was a way of getting even with them without them knowing I was getting even with them. You know what I mean? I think sometimes about my dad, when he used to like to go with me someplace. He's always wanted to go with me, and I don't know why, because I used to say to him, I want to take him. First thing I want to do is stop, get a drink, and I don't want to take him. And then he looked at it not long enough, and I ate him. And I knew that he was one of those people that had to make frequent pit stops. I don't happen to have to do that for myself, because Eddie is responsible for me having probably one of the best set of kidneys in the world. I can never afford to go to the restroom because I did get away from me. So I developed a method of being able to go for hours, like a camel. And one of the things I thought about was the number of times I took my father someplace when he was afraid to ask me to stop. And I knew he wanted me to stop, and I purposely wouldn't. Now, I don't really understand what I'm trying to say, but these were the kind of things that I did that made it necessary for me to become willing to make amends for the things that I had done. I also had to go back over and realize there were a lot of things I had done as far as my husband was concerned. Things that that really could have done a little bit differently, probably, and a little bit better, and made his life a little easier. That I did do for the very same reason that I used to torment myself in my own way. And that was because it was my way of getting even with him for what I thought he had done to me. All these things are things that Wilma brought up to me that meant harming some other individual. And so I ended up quite a long list of people I had harmed, and I was willing to make amends to them all. And as I kind of told you before the last session, I fixed up a sort of a form letter that said I was sorry, but I didn't say what for. And I didn't say I wasn't going to do it again, and I didn't say anything that might have, but I was willing to let them know that I was aware of the fact that I had done things that I shouldn't have done. And Will took and looked at the letter, and she said, that'll never do. And I said, why not? And she said, because you're still playing a game with your own mind. Until you can honestly, willingly go to these individuals, or be willing to go to these individuals, and tell them exactly what it is, and ask them to forgive you, you're not going to have any peace of mind. They probably have long since forgotten and maybe don't even know that you did any of these things. And when you go to make amends, you go not for their sake, but for your sake, to get them off your back, to make a clear path so that you could walk through life without always looking over your shoulder and wondering, when will they realize that this is what I did? We were talking a little bit earlier about the time I was playing in a golf tournament, and the girl in the fixing behind me got home one, and he wheeled in a bottle of champagne. It was about, well, that's bigger every time, so it was about that big. Sort of like a fish story, from the sea. But anyhow, I helped her drink it because I didn't want her to get from. Then I got in my car, and I drove 40 miles on the way back to my house, turned in my driveway, missed the driveway completely, and went through the fence. And that covered me up like that, oh my God, Eddie is going to kill me. Well, he wasn't going to kill me, that, but I did know he was going to find out that I was capable of doing what he had done several times. And that did go through the fence and back front in the car. So I called a fellow in A I knew that fixed fences. And I asked him to come over right away and fix the fence, he did. And then I took the car down to where we usually got it fixed. And I said, well, how long is it going to take you to fix this car? And he said, about 3 days. And I said, no, I had to have it done before Eddie got home tonight. And so he straightened it out, he painted it, and he said, 5 days, don't let it leave, because it's still there. And I went home, and to all intents and purposes, I should have been completely at ease. I had redone everything that I had lost up. And to all intents and purposes, I might never have found out that I had done it. Except I began to wait. See, what maybe one of the neighbors would say to him, Winnie sure take you that driveway, didn't she? Or one of the kids say, did you know Mother had to take a car that I had to fix? And so, as I usually did when I was trapped, I called my sponsor. And she said to me, well, I think you better tell him. And I said, tell him? I just got through doing all this stuff so that he wouldn't find out. And she said, you would want to. But if you don't tell him, you're going to spend the rest of your life waiting for him to find out. And that's what's going to make you uncomfortable, not the fact that you want your fence, not the fact that you're the front end of the car, but the fact that you are giving somebody else a power over your life that you can't control. And that kind of reminds me of the time that when I first came to Al-Anon, they said, be good to yourself. They ever tell you that? Well, you say good to yourself, and you that meant shopping. And I did. And I bought this dress one day. It was on sale. And I can't have sale. It's a sale. I buy it, but I don't know it. I buy it even if it didn't fit me. this was a compulsive shopper, I guess, my call. So I bought this dress. I paid a lot of money for it, even though it was on sale. But I thought it would kind of really, stand out. But on the way home, the dress was exciting, and I began to think I didn't pay that much for that dress. And so I talked to myself on the way home, and I explained to me that I just asked Eddie how much he thought I paid for it. And when he got to within what I thought was a reasonable price, I said, you do it every time. And that's what I did. I just let him guess until it got close to what it was. And I figured he'll give me that much. And out of household money, my own account, I'll be able to get the difference. And I can take the red, and then he'll never know that I didn't sucker again. So it didn't work out that way. I got his money all right, but I had to buy shoes, and I had to buy a purse, and I had to buy several other things to go with his damn dress. And the first bill came in, and I almost fainted when I saw and realized what I paid for that dress. And so I put that away, and I'd save the money that I did. And this went on for 3 months. I finally got a bill that was stamped, you had ordered it. And I knew I was in trouble, so I called Bill, and I told her what was going on. And she said to me, just like she had about the car, she said, Bill, I guess you're going to have to tell him. I said, tell him I can't tell him. For 3 months, I've been lying to him. Don't tell him. She would want to. If you threw her another way, it's all right with me, but if I were you, I'd tell him. So I got the kids in bed, and I fixed a nice dinner for Eddie, and a soft light, and candles, whole bit. Just I could use it to entice him while he was drinking. And he knew it was something wrong, because my change of attitude. And when I thought he was in a mellow mood, I said to him, hey, you know that dress I bought? Now, I know I hate the dress. I wouldn't wear it, they gave it to me. Because every time I put it on, it reminds me once more of all this mess I've got myself into. And I remember that dress I bought. He said, yes. And I said, well, I didn't exactly tell you the truth about it. He said, yes, I know. And I said, what do you mean you know? I'd been going through my dresser drawers, because that's what I used to do to him. I'd go through his pockets, through his watch, through his dresser drawers, see if there was any pumpkin. And I'm not sure I figured he must do the same to me, He said, I can go through your dresser drawers. I just thought that. And I said, but how could you know I did tell you the truth if you'd go through my dresser drawers? And he said, you know those things that hang on the sleeve when you buy something? And I said, yes. And he said, you forgot to take them off. And he had on for 3 months. I had lied to him about the doggone dress. Well, that made him mad. Because I thought the least he could have done, I always told him when he was lying. And I thought the least he could have done is reciprocate by being lying and telling me that I was lying. And instead I called my sponsor and I told her how terrible he had been to me. And how I had done all this stuff, made it nice so I could tell him about this. And he had to do it whole evening just I told him that I was lying. And she said to me, well, I hope you learned a lesson from this. And I said, well, I did. She said, what is it? And I said, well, whatever you started to get to, I kept the But these were some of the things that I did that are on my men's list. Now, maybe I went along with things on, but I had to make amends to myself before I made amends to anybody else. Because I couldn't head on to the things that I had done to myself. But when I got to the nice step, making direct amends to such people and I possibly do so didn't them or others, that's tough. That's one of those where the person that you hurt the most, you get the most out, and usually it's closest to you. And it makes it awful difficult to go to somebody and make amends like to my husband or to my children or to somebody else. And I led a retreat just like this. When I heard the retreat master say, to make an amends to a contract means to change that contract. And if you can, in your innermost self, admit to God yourself to another human being that you will never again do this thing which has caused harm to another human being, you have made an amends. Because this whole program, this whole way of life, to me today, is based on a change in attitude. And an attitude, I believe, is what the 7th, the 8th, and 9th are all about. To change what I used to be like to what I can be like today on a daily basis if I practice the principles of this fellowship and this program. I didn't know what a change of attitude really was, to tell you the truth. I know that it sounded like there were a lot of things I didn't know. There were a lot of things I didn't know. But those things that I didn't know were things that I spent my life dodging. I knew what they were. I just didn't accept it at all. But I went to a meeting one time and I was new, and I found something, and I don't remember even what it was. It wasn't a great big deal. I was going to lay on so they could get better. And I was late as usual, and when I got in there, everybody was already seated around the table. And the gal leading the meeting, well, I was now that she always knew what she was doing. And she had her meeting all planned, and so I knew I was going to be able to bring up what would help them the most, which was what I had to tell her. I had a seat way in the back, and she wouldn't call on me if she did, she didn't like me, I knew that. And the topic she had chosen that night was the difference between love and hate. Now, when I sat in that chair, I knew the difference between love and hate, because I hated the leader, I hated my seat, I hated the topic, I hated the people over there at the meeting. I was filled with hate. And yet, as they started around the table, talking about what the difference between love and hate meant to each and every one of them, when it got to me, I didn't have anything to say. I think the reason is because I suddenly realized the leader hadn't changed, my seat hadn't changed, the topic hadn't changed, but my attitude towards it had changed. Now I began to look back and see how many things that I loved one and hated the next, and things that changed. The only thing that had changed was my attitude towards it, and that is what I try to work on, and that's what I think I discovered doing this 8th and 9th steps, making the amends and noticing that my attitude towards something is what creates the necessity to make the amends. Because actually, if it had been the fact that I was unable to see myself as I really was, created that too, made it necessary for me to play these various parts that I had played until I had built up such a list of people that in reality I had harmed in one way or another. Being willing to make amends, they told me the most important part of that step is being willing is my advance of being able to do it. Willingness is the key to change, and willingness I had. I always put 10 steps in with the 8th and 9th because to me, continuing to take personal inventory when I'm wrong from it has made it possible for me to eliminate the necessity of making as many amends as I had to make before. Because I know what other people will never know about me. I know when I'm wrong. And being able to promptly admit it, that's one thing that I like in the 8th, 12, and 12, is the fact that it says now is when you admit you're wrong. You don't wait till next week, next month, or until you take the step of the 8th and 9th step yet. If you're wrong, promptly admit it. It eliminates the necessity of trying to stay on an even keel as far as my life is concerned. And you know, it's kind of fun to call somebody on the phone that you've done something to or done something about or whatever you are wrong and have to admit it. And here, the strange attitude that they have. They don't have to prove this, you know. The 8 fellow I heard in the time said that he had even thought to his first wife. He'd been married about 7 times. And they used to have a sticker that said, "You've been married to Jack Honk." And he had he had got to thinking about his first wife, who had divorced me because of his drinking, and he got real honest and sort of melancholy about it one day, and he realized, well, she was the mother of his children, and she had done his washing, and she had done his cooking, and she had done all these things that a wife's supposed to do, and he had treated her very badly, so possibly he did owe her an amends. And so he called her on the phone and asked her if he could buy a and she said yes, and he went over and he made his amends to her. And he said, if I'd known it was going to shake her up as much as it did, I would have done 10 years sooner, you know, because it does shake people up. Have you admit that you're wrong, and be able to go on from there, because then nobody has any kind of power over you. You are your own conscious conduct with God, your understanding. And I don't consider the 10th step to be similar to the 4th step. That's just my way. And I say that because sometimes people think if you're standing up here, you know more than somebody else, and I don't. But for myself, the 10th step is something that I do on a daily basis. Making amends is something I do on a daily basis. Because it eliminates the necessity for me to have to live with some of the uncomfortable feelings I lived with before if I take care of it now. It has worked for me. I like the idea of, well, I've been talking switch between that own voice and what I haven't said, you know. But anyhow, if this is a repeat, that's right, I said out there. But I went to a woman one day, and I said to her, I think I need to make a drunk. And she said, how do you know? And I said, because he's working the program. And she said, how do you know he's working the program? And I said, because he's supposed to make amends and hasn't made anything. And she said, how do you know he hasn't made any amends? And I said, because I've been available and he hasn't done anything. And she got up from where she was sitting and walked up to her desk and picked up pencils and pieces of paper. And she came back over and she put one of them in front of me and sat down with the other one. And she said, you know, now that you mentioned it, Russell hasn't made any amends to me either. So as long as you're here, I want you and I make a list of the amends that we should make to them, but when they make their amends to us, we'll be ready. And I couldn't pick up a pencil, because my mind began to divorce the things I had done to him, you know, and hide in his car, switch his drawers, and never his beer. Yeah, I ran out of drugstore before ran out of brands. You know, he was sick and I got green beer, because my husband was strictly beer drinker. He didn't anything but beer was his drink choice. Had convinced at one time it was non-alcoholic beverage because he said he did babies and do. I looked at the medical books, they use it on little babies as anesthesia. However, not the quantity he was drinking, that was a different. But anyhow, I couldn't pick the pen. I couldn't write down any of those things. And she said to me, I can't write down. Because if he finds out what I've really done to him, he'll divorce me. And she said, well, did it ever occur to you that he might have the same problem? And it never occurred to me. Because, see, I was using the principles of this program to try to find out if he had really done all the things that I thought he had done. And I think that was the beginning of my being able to let go of the past, the drinking past. I don't want to know what he did, because I'm not sure that I have the stamina or the internal force to forgive him for things, or to forget things. And at the same time, I don't even know what I did either. I don't want to have to go to him and tell him some of the things that I did to him. And so I like the idea of making the amends by changing, by being able to take that 10th step, take that 9th step, and take that 8th step and work them all together, and that's the way I do it. It works for me. And that's pretty much the way I get Wilma work too. She's one of those people that I wish she'd come up here with me, because I like sometimes to have her speak for herself. You know, I tell her that most of the people that listen to me think you're confucius. And she said, why? And I said, because if I read a word out of my mouth that Wilma says. And she said, but I didn't do any big deal or any big thing as far as you're concerned. And no, when her husband was sick and passed away, she withdrew. She just changed completely. You know, she wouldn't go to me, she wouldn't let anybody in, she wouldn't have anything to do with that. And he actually called me and he said, well, why don't you call Bill? Because if you call her, she'll think you're in trouble, and if you're in trouble, she'll be glad to win. Because I have her kind of condition. And I said, okay, I'll give her a call and see what happens. And I called her, and she said I could come over, so I went over. And I sat down with her, and I started to pitch at her some of the things that she had pitched at me over the years. And all of a sudden, the tears started to roll down her cheeks. And she said to me, I used to wonder where I got things that I said to you. And now I know that God gave them to me to give to you, so that you could take care of them until I need them. That, to me, is what this fellowship is all about. That, to me, is the reason that anybody who tries to use the 12 steps of AA that they've given us permission to use has to improve, has to have that AA life. But everything that was wrong with me is covered in those 12 steps. And I can only say that on a basis because it's me that last out my life. It took me right back to the first step. Takes me right through the second step. Takes me right to the third step. The 11th step, decision, wait a minute, I'm almost into it. It's fresh air. Father, prayer and meditation to refer my conscious conduct to God as I understand Him, only from all of His will for me, the power to carry it out. That's exactly the way that it is in the book. But that's the way I have to work. Because when my mother was ill, God sent me an egg, I learned to hate in 3 days, and that's a record. I would say it constantly, as she said it constantly, and every so often she'd look at me and she'd say, take the third step. And I'd say, I have. And a while later she'd say, Winnie, please take the third step. And I'd say, I have taken the third step. Well, after about 2 days of that, she said it once too often, and I flipped on her just like I have flipped on people all my life. And I said to her, Gloria, your problem is that you keep counting off on the third step, and I'm really on the 11th. And so I repeated the both just in case she didn't know. And she was in AA long before I ever got to Eleanor. Made a decision here, and I won my life over to care of God as I understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for me and the power to carry it out. And you know that all these years that I've heard people talk about release, I never released anything in my life. I said, oh, last night or maybe this morning or whenever it was, when Wilma gave me a job of tightening up that thing, I didn't even know how to felt. And yet when I repeated those 2 steps, Gloria, I heard formula for release. Because you see, I was always willing to turn my life over to thereabout. I just wouldn't turn your life over to thereabout. And when I put those 2 steps together, it finally brought home the idea that when I ask for help, that help has to be for me, not for you. I can ask God to help you. He has to help you on a direct basis. He can't do it through me. Because that's not the way He works. And that's what's happening in my life. My daughter was, I had so many manifestations of this one thing that I keep going back to every so often. But when I was saying all the troubles I made, it was like they're going out of style. I did many handle fire church when I was at church. You know, and at first I would have some kind of a renewal or something. Because I was always in church praying, asking, what can I do? Tell me what to do. And sitting at the table one day, I said, I just don't understand why it isn't working. Look what I've done, look at the prayer I've said, look at the candle I've lit, look at the things I've done, I still don't have an answer. And he said, the main reason you don't have an answer is because you haven't got a problem. And it's true. It's also true that my sponsor used to say to me, The same thing. The reason you haven't got the problem is because or the answer is because you haven't got the problem. See, I work ahead. I don't wait until it happens. I try to be prepared so that if it happens, I take care of it right away, you know. And she say to me, God said you expected a little better and told you to stay home on Thursday. He had milk come your way. You call him on the phone and ask him to get out because he doesn't do on Thursday. See? Because that's the way I am. Those are the things I forget in my own life. Now, I don't know what others probably covered them all. But with all these steps up to and including 12, it made me aware of what was going on. Made me aware of the fact that my problems never came from out there. My problems came from the inside. And my solutions also came from the inside. I like that idea that happiness is an inside job. Because many times it isn't what you say to me, it bothers me. It's why I think of it when you say it. That was something else we were talking about here a little bit earlier. My husband is one of them cheerful individuals. Got faith out of his ears, you know, and it just keeps going on and nothing bothers him. I do all the worrying. That's why my hair is this color. He doesn't have gray hair in his head. He says it's hereditary, but I think because it was reserved alcohol for song. But once in a while I would declare, let be good Winnie day. Have you ever done that? When you just say, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do the dishes. I'm, you know, nothing. And I'll read, especially if it's raining. I'll look to read when it rains. And I curl up and enjoy the whole day until like 4:45. And then it suddenly dawns on me, he's going to be home in 15 minutes. And I haven't done a thing. So I get up and I rush around and I try to get everything done in 15 minutes that other people are doing all day. And I'm worn out in 15 minutes. And he walks in with that cheerful attitude and says, what have you been doing all day? And I'm like, tell it. Here's what he says to me, what I think of when he says it. And that's part of why I have guard against also. Is the fact that I don't let what you say trigger something inside that I haven't taken care of that's going to last out my life. Because this is a save yourself program. They told me that. They didn't say it exactly that way, but this is now, see, part of my success now, I believe, came from the fact that I believe everything I heard them say in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm one of those people that couldn't understand the Al-Anon. They were too nice to me. They were, you know, they were all loving. I was all right. But I could go over there and I could hear these, because I don't know how it was when you can. And I'm not doubting Al-Anon. Don't get me wrong, I owe my life to those people. But I couldn't be that nice. And I knew I couldn't be that nice. But I'd go over there and listen to them argue and fight and still be friends. They couldn't do that in Al-Anon. If you had it right now, there were sides. These were against those. Now, maybe there's no way in Oregon, there was no way in California. And I was always right in the middle. You know, I don't like being in the middle. And I don't like being in the middle. See, I used to, Ed would tell me something about something to do, he didn't like me, I'd say, I'll tell him about it. And then in my own way, I would say, so-and-so, such probably, so please, don't do it when he doesn't know anything about it. That may give him the freedom to go ahead and do it. And also gave me the better not let him find out. And then they would say, I gotta take it, Mom, and I said, that's just let the father find out. I'll tell it. And then I said, you know how they are. These kids come to school, just give them tips right and left, whether they do anything or not, and they agree with me. And then he take care of the tips. Always in the middle. I thought they were related. And one day I met both of them and stepped out of the middle and for as I said, you know. And it was the same when I first came out, and I was always in the middle. And it just because I didn't know enough about whether you were right or you were right. And so I tried to walk every narrow lane. But in AA, that's where I found out that you can disagree agreeably without letting it become so big, so bad, that you can't get over it. One of the greatest lessons I learned when I was doing Al-Anon was the fact that not everybody had worked as hard as I did to get this program. You see, I thought everybody that was there had to work as hard as I did in order to feel a little bit better and get a little bit better. But it's not that way. And the very first time that I heard somebody who I thought really loved say something I knew was absolutely positively wrong, I almost got dead. I said, she's not working program. And I called on the phone and I told her, I said, you know, that was an out-and-out lie. And Mom said, well, what difference to me? And I said, she's been around so long, she should know better. And Mom said, well, you've been around for a while too, you don't know it better. And I said, what do you mean by that? And she said, I mean that you are guilty of judging her as she is, or whatever she is. Two moms never made it right. And from that time on, it was all right with me, no matter what she said or what she did. If that's what you thought, and that's how you felt, and that's what you wanted to do, it was okay. And it worked out great. But although we minutes and all of them, and I think that's right. I can play the same watch. I got 10 minutes more. I'll tell you, I'm from step faster now than I ever did before. Anybody got any questions? I saw the cook mower and I thought he was pretty worth. I think, oh yes, I'm sorry.
How do your kids feel as damaged? How do you make one
Very close. Very close. In fact, it almost scares us to see how close they are. You know, they fight. Sometimes they disagree. Some they fight. They have disagreements. From the time they were able to get out and around, it was well known at school and any place else they were. They'd pick on one, they would take the other seven. And they still have the closeness even today. You know, they get together for barbecues, they go places together, they buy things together, they do everything together. And I part of it because somebody out, you know, the whole group make buy more things they want to for their mind to. No, you'll never say no. That's something I'm not content. I had somebody that also was co-parent, she called me. Every so often I get talk to the hospital in Long Beach, and I know it's because I'm a classic example, but maybe never end up in the ranks again. But I go because I have men's night, and about you asked me to come down there. When I got, she didn't call me, she called me co-alcoholic, she didn't call me a codependent, she called me co-alcoholic. They was city, and so she had all this little foreman to watch for me, and I get off the elevator, and I'm just standing there, I didn't see that, all these sailors and so forth, and walking around, and this little foreman circled me a couple times before she came up, and she said to me, are you co-alcoholic? And I said, no, I'm not. And so she kind of backed off and circled me a couple more times. Then she came up and she said, what are you? And I said to her, I'm Winnie. I tell you who I am, but I can't tell you who I am. And I said, I'm Benedict. She said, you're co-alcoholic. I said, no, I'm not. So when I started to talk at that meeting, she was sitting right in the front row. I sat down and talked to her. You know, because I had time to throw a salute, and that's making a man said, I want to make men's worse. I said, when I came down, I was a Siamese twin. And those females performed one of the most delicate, painful operations I have ever experienced when they separated me from him. And co-alcoholic to me makes me responsible for what he did in my mind. And so I'm not a co-anything. I don't wake him up with that. I will tell you that one of the reasons that they have some of these scientific medical type designations for us now is because if you are a codependent, or you are a co-alcoholic, or you are there's another one, codependent. Yeah, well, anyhow, if you are one of those, You could buy insurance. You see, and that is exactly where it came from. You can't, they won't turn you into nuts. They will if you're a alcoholic. And it always kind of saddens me to see my pay or I would give church for nothing. But it's just necessary, you know. And if it's necessary, then that's important. I don't know anything that helps anybody. I don't care what it is, because from the very beginning, when they first started talking about conference group literature, and I'll say very frankly, I'm not all for conference group literature, because I thought it put a kind of fence around your recovery by limiting you to what you could use and what would help you. And I remember at one of the intermeeting things, if I walked into a 12-step call and I handed a girl the face on the barroom floor, and I gave her this, is what helped me. If she believed me, it will help her too. Because it didn't want to read that helped. It was what I read that helped me. It's what I shared that helped me. The only reading in the world is not going to come up with an answer, at least for me. Because I've read just about anything and everything I get my hand on. But that book always told me, you know, especially when the appendix out. Because I was in a meeting one day, and the format of the meeting was they had these little pieces of paper with, like they had love, and they had going up God, and it was on a piece of paper and had numbers down there, and then after it was passed around, then the leader called off number, and the person who had that number took that saying and talked about it. And I was sitting next to this little gal, and I was long, she'd been around, but I took my piece of paper, and she took hers, and she opened it, and she looked at it, she stuck it in her pocket, and she reached for the that book. And I thought, what she got? You know, I mean, well, I didn't know, I was curious, so I said, what did you get? And she took a little piece of paper out, and handed it to me, on it, it said love. And I said to her, you're not going to find love in that book. That book helped explain to me what the feeling is that I can't put a title to. It's love. But I can't learn to love by just reading that book. I don't care how many different pages I've brought. None of them are ever going to cover that feeling. Because if you don't have the feeling, you don't know what you're talking about. This isn't a middle of life that has to do with words. It has to do with feeling. And that's what it works the way it does. But that's the way it works for me. It doesn't have to be that makes anything wrong for anybody else. That's one of the things I think you have to come to terms with when you come to the fellowship of AA or Al-Anon. And that is you have to have the courage to reach out and find out what you're all about. And faith and to trust to allow it to happen. Whatever comes along, I don't know what it is. But I do know that by allowing myself to go with the flow, just like that river, to let it happen, and let it go. If I said that kind of the way, it works. And I don't know how it works. And as I said many, many, many times, it was a true every time I said, if I ever find out how it works, I'll probably change it. Well, I can tell you how they responded to me. They recognized almost immediately that when Wilma was around, I was different. And in the beginning, it was a lot of game. You know, she came, I would have to impress her with what I was working for. She was damn light. You know, I used to work an hour and a half at meetings, and come home and they came, and she came over, I came over being an angel, that ass, you know. The kids recognized a change in me when she was around. And they responded to that change in me. No, I forget who I was talking to, but when my kids were small, you still thought I was the extension of me. They were sort of like publicity of how good a mother I was. And so I used to try to make them do the right thing at the right time in the proper way and so forth. And I used to say to them, if I had a bread to go to a birthday party or something, you know, where we're going to be out with other people and so forth, my parting shot was always, remember who you are. And one day my oldest son, who was about 11 at the time that I came down, no, I couldn't, yeah, 11, about that. And one day when I gave that little line to him, he turned around and looked me right in the eye, and he said, you know, Mom, sometimes you don't even know who you are. You see? But they recognized that in me. They more or less were smarter than I was all during that time. Because they did not allow me to disturb them to the point that I feel that they were harmed forever. You know, they still laugh about some of the things which embarrasses me a lot of times. Because it's usually at Thanksgiving or something, you know, and that's the guy, she's seen my horse came to Alma, and then they start, you know. And they remember a lot more about me before I came to Alma than I remember about me. But it's okay, you see, because we are a family who learn to laugh together about things we used to try about alone. And I think that's part of the healing, you know. I've always felt the Alma team was put into existence for my benefit, because I came to Alma in October 1957, and Alma team came in December of 1957. So I had two kids that were in the original group, you know. In fact, they drafted them. They wanted to have a few people, and so they asked me please to let them know, and they just loved it, you know. And I think I helped them too. But I don't believe the scars that possibly they had for my upbringing were so deep that they could, you know. I think they had a natural resiliency to me for some reason or other. One thing I did have to do after I left town was quit laying out their clothes. You know, early after that, in the morning, stay out close for 8 kids. And we don't have stuff that. But I used to have color coordinated. You know, the shirts, pants, socks, everything had to be right. Eddie, too. I used to lay his clothes out. He's not colorblind, but he's got a thing about sides and flags that just drive me up the wall. They wear them together, you know. And it used to be embarrassing for me to go places with him, and he looked like a circus clown. Because that's why he's coming. And so, Bill said to me one day, you're going to have to quit resting those kids. They're getting too many, with 11, and he's old. And she don't have to let them alone, because you're making cripples out of them. They're going to be able to dress themselves if you don't knock this off. And I said, well, I'll quit picking their clothes out, but I have to quit picking these clothes out. She said, yes, you do. And I said, well, what about stacks on the pad? And she said, he's got them on. If you let it embarrass you, that's your problem, not his. So one day my oldest son, my youngest son, George, came home from school. This was quite a while after I quit helping him, and he was mad in the way. He said, I have on 2 different socks a day. And I said, well, I'm sorry, George, but I guess you're just going to have to get up earlier and get them matched up if that's what happened and you're embarrassed by it. And that was about all that was said. And a few weeks, months, or I don't know how long ago, after that. But we were sitting at the table after discussing things, and I was trying to explain something to my son Donald, who's one of the twins. And I used George as an example. I said, just like George wearing 2 different socks to school. I said, George, you don't wear 2 different socks to school, do you? He says, not unless I wear my boots. Now, he learned that himself. I never whip up the boots on because I got on 2 different socks. So I think that the kids grow inside of it, not because of it. And that's so. You know, God protects schools and children. Both of us. Okay. Let's
This is the end of session 4, the start of session 5.
Because, you know, I go through this, well, this study I should be a little more, I should really be a little more sedate. For me, that's slip, you know, when I begin to think I should be something. I usually get into trouble, but God always sends me an escrow. This morning he sent Raven over, and she looked, and she said, oh, is that hot? And I said, yes. I was unaware of it. I was a little risque. She said, oh, barely, they love it. I think I'm still a little bit you know that. You don't get all to own decisions, because usually they aren't too great. Well, we're now at 12 step, which is one of my favorites. And I don't think we even noticed the pleasure that I had on was step 12. Having had spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And they gave me one of those a long time ago, and it was embroidered. And it was embroidered for me because I couldn't remember the darn thing. You know, there was some sort of mental block there. As I told you the other night or the other day or whenever, I was one of those people that came in, got an inkling of what was going on, and went right into 12 step work. Because it just, for one thing, kept me from having to do the rest of them steps. And now me, a lot of people were in worse shape than I was. That always helps too. You know, you can find, I think it's in the 20 questions where they ask you, do you seek lower companions? And I always did. See, I wanted to find people that were in worse shape than I was, because I would find an excuse for not doing some of the things Will told me I had to do. Now, figure that one out. You can give somebody an answer, no number. But anyhow, I would make a book call any time of the day or night, you know. And one particular day, I was having my own script page. I didn't even know what it was that was bothering me. But the telephone rang, and it was the office, and she had called in my area. She wanted to know would I accept the call. And I said, why, certainly, of course, I had my own storage bin of literature, you know. And I'd go in time. And so she gave me the address. And when I hung up the phone, a strange thing happened to me. The same thing that had happened many, many times before that I had not been aware of it. There was a transition. From the first age, I stepped into being sort of like evangelist. I was about to carry the message. And I got in my car and I drove over to this girl's house. And when she opened the door, it was almost like stepping in my past. She had her hair halfway tied up with a bandana. And she had two little kids kind of half hiding behind her. And she wasn't sure when she opened the door whether she was going to let me in or not. And but she did, and she took me into the living room, and mother was sitting there. It looked like we were on a week. I mean, you know, we were all so solemn and so serious, but I was being blind. And he started talking to me, saying, don't get all this, don't get all this. And all the other girl looked around her, and she said, Mother, please, how did I know what I'm going to say until I heard what I said? And I understood that. Well, it was kind of strange, you know, right away, because a lot of other things I didn't understand that I heard. But I stayed for about an hour, and I did share my experience, strength, and hope with her. What I shared with her was what I had heard other people say at meetings, which was their experience, strength, and hope. And when I walked out the door, she put her arms around me and gave me a hug and thanked me for coming. And she said to me, I feel so much better. Thank you for coming. I walked out in the car, closed the door, and was back in my own stroke again. The transition had been complete. I had gone back. When I started the car, headed for home, and all of a sudden I heard what she said. Thank you for coming. I feel so much better. And I was immediately mad at her. Why should she feel better? I'm the one that carried the message, and I don't feel any better. And I don't know, have you ever sort of had thought through your head like somebody whispering in your ear? And all of a sudden I heard this voice or whatever say, she believed you.